Brutus grew close to Cato the Younger, one of Rome's fiercest defenders of republican government. From Cato, he absorbed Stoic ideals of duty, virtue, and resistance to tyranny. Pompey had been responsible for the death of Brutus' father. Yet when Rome later divided between Pompey and Caesar, Brutus would place politics above vengeance. Brutus chose Pompey, the man linked to his father's death. Personal hatred gave way to what Brutus believed was the greater cause, defending the Republic against Caesar. In 49 BC, Caesar crossed the Rubicon and civil war began. Rome was forced to choose sides. Brutus faced an extraordinary decision: Caesar or Pompey. Brutus stood within Pompey's army, convinced he was defending the Republic. Yet even here, among allies, Rome revealed itself as divided, not by borders, but by belief. At Pharsalus, in 48 BC, the decision came brutally fast. Caesar crushed Pompey's army. Brutus had chosen the Republic and found himself on the losing side. After Pharsalus, Brutus escaped to Larissa. Caesar spared him and accepted his submission. The victor now extended mercy to a man who had taken up arms against him. Caesar did more than forgive him. He entrusted Brutus with Cisalpine Gaul, where Plutarch says his administration brought relief after the abuses of earlier governors. By 44 BC, Brutus had risen to become urban praetor, one of Rome's highest magistrates. Caesar had restored his career, even as Caesar's own power grew ever greater. Caesar was now dictator for life. Honors once unthinkable for a Roman citizen accumulated around him. To men like Brutus, one question became impossible to ignore: was Rome still a republic? Among those most alarmed was Gaius Cassius Longinus. He began drawing opponents of Caesar together, but he knew the conspiracy needed one name above all others: Brutus. Pressure now closed around him. Anonymous messages appeared on Brutus' tribunal. "Are you asleep? You are not a true Brutus." Rome was invoking his ancestor and demanding action. Once Brutus joined, the conspiracy gained legitimacy. Around 60 senators were eventually involved. They were not united by one motive, but they agreed that Caesar had to die. Brutus could hide little from Portia, his wife, and Cato's daughter. Ancient accounts portray her as fiercely determined to prove she could share his danger and his secrets. On the morning of March 15th, 44 BC, the conspirators moved through Rome separately. Caesar was expected at the Senate. Brutus knew there would be no second chance. Inside the Senate chamber, the conspirators surrounded Caesar. The attack was sudden and chaotic. Brutus was among them. Within moments, Rome's dictator lay dead. Brutus expected Caesar's death to restore liberty, but Rome did not erupt in gratitude. The crowds were stunned, frightened, and uncertain. Killing Caesar had proved easier than saving the Republic. At Caesar's funeral, Mark Antony transformed grief into fury. Public opinion turned against the assassins. Brutus had killed Caesar, but Antony was now winning Rome. With Rome turning against the conspirators, Brutus left Italy. In the east, he gathered money, soldiers, and allies. The struggle for the Republic was becoming another civil war. In 43 BC, Antony, Octavian, and Lepidus formed the Second Triumvirate. Caesar's heirs now controlled the west. In the east, Brutus and Cassius prepared to face them. At Philippi in 42 BC, Roman met Roman once again. Brutus initially broke Octavian's forces, but elsewhere, Antony drove Cassius back. The battle dissolved into confusion. Unable to see through the dust, Cassius believed disaster was complete and that his scout had been captured. He took his own life, unaware that Brutus had won on his side of the field. Without Cassius, Brutus faced Antony and Octavian alone. Weeks later, pressure from his own army forced another battle. This time, the Republican line broke. With his army destroyed and capture inevitable, Brutus chose death. In October 42 BC, he ended his life near Philippi. The man who killed Caesar would not survive the republic he tried to save. Even his enemies respected him. Ancient writers say Antony covered Brutus with his finest purple cloak, ordered him cremated, and sent his ashes home to his mother, Servilia. Brutus even placed the assassination on his coinage: 2 daggers, a cap of liberty, and the words Ide Mar, the Ides of March. To him, Caesar's death was liberation. Brutus killed Caesar to prevent one man from ruling Rome, but his victory lasted only moments. 16 years later, Octavian became Augustus, and the Roman Republic was effectively over. Caesar died, the Republic died anyway. For 2,000 years, Brutus has remained impossible to judge. Patriot or traitor, liberator or assassin, perhaps his tragedy was believing that one murder could save a dying political system. Rome vanished, but Brutus survived in memory. Writers, philosophers, and playwrights turned him into a symbol of liberty, betrayal, and political violence. His argument with Caesar never truly ended. Brutus believed Caesar had destroyed the Republic. But who was the man he chose to kill? Reformer, conqueror, dictator, or all three? Brutus failed to save the Republic, but his choice changed Rome forever and left a question history still cannot answer. When does resistance become betrayal?